Thank you for joining me. I just went ahead and did one little artichoke here. This is a little charm, and I'm going to be showing a marbled artichoke with greens. I added a little bit of purple pastel dust after I could show you how. Now I'm marbling with 3 different colors of green. The first one is a pretty medium green. It is Spanish olive from Primo with a little bit of white and then a lot of translucent. Then I have Spanish olive mixed with cadmium yellow from Primo, a touch of white, and then I have Spanish olive all by itself. So Spanish olive all by itself, Spanish olive with a little bit of yellow and white, and then we have the Spanish olive with translucent and a little bit of white. So the colors are all very similar. And then I twist them together. This is marbling. If you already know how to marble, you could always fast forward. And then I twist them together again. And this actually comes out really pretty without doing any of the painting of the pastels on it. I just wanted to add some purple to see how well the purple shows up and whether it keeps its purple color or turns blue or brown. Twist again. And we just continue. To make this a little faster, I'll put it in half. Twist, twist, twist again. You can see the streaks are getting smaller. I'll do it one more time here. And then on the table I'm going to show you how to put more twist in it without twisting it again. So what we do is roll one hand one way, one hand the opposite way. The reason I'm doing this is to try to get those little stripes that you saw. So see all of those tiny little narrow stripes? That's created by pushing and pulling and putting a high amount of twist in it. Then from here I throw it through the pasta roller on the thickest setting, the next thickest setting, the third thickest setting, and then the fourth thickest setting. And then this is what you have. So it's green, but it has a lot of thin, narrow stripes. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit here. And then I'm going to roll this little amount that I took off into a little fat teardrop shape. And this is the inside shape of our artichoke to help us keep a good artichoke shape. So it's kind of a flattened teardrop, circular all the way around. And then I'm going to roll a nice little log. And I'm putting this at the bottom of our teardrop. So this is basically the little armature that we create. And then I'm going to take, I got 3 teardrop size cookie cutters. So these are the 3 smallest ones. I get mine from clayfactory.net. And these are the 3 smallest teardrop cutters. So I'm taking 4 of the tiniest. So what I'm going to do now is put them at the very, very tip, of my teardrop. I let them come over the top so they all meet together, and I'm doing them on 4 sides. I like to try to keep construction as simple as possible, something that you could mimic more later. And so you see that there's 4 teardrops. Okay. So from here I'm going to take the next size of teardrop, and I'm going to make, I think I did 8 of these. We'll see for sure as I start stacking them. And I try to take them where the stripes are lengthwise. And I put them where the tip overlaps a seam. And I do rows of 4. So see how it's overlapping the seam? Overlapping the seam again. And overlapping the seam again. Now I'm going to do that with the other 4. I overlap the seam of the larger petals, twist it, put on a new one, and you could do lots of rows or just a few rows. That is completely up to you. So right now we are at 3 rows. And from here I like to bump up to the 3rd size. So we had 4 of the tiniest, 8 of the next size, and then I like to do 8 of this size as well. Okay, so from here I'm going to overlap the seams yet again. So you're creating the layers. And I'm not being too overly careful yet about placing them other than covering seams. And then I'm going to do a bottom layer. And you can see how that's giving you all the layers for the artichoke. In real life there's a lot more layers than this, but we're trying to create the impression of an artichoke and it remain kind of attractive. I'm going to be very careful not to smash them, but to try to smooth them into place. And I think that looks pretty good right there. But what I'm going to do to smooth the bottom is roll it. And you could even do one more layer if you want it to be a little bit longer. But I am literally rolling the bottom in my fingers to smooth those bottom leaves on and elongate the stem. So below what we had before, which was our scrap clay to make the armature, that's hanging off the bottom. And with us twisting right now, this is creating our stem from the stripy leaves that we just placed on the last layer. So there is the main body of the artichoke. Now, baked, this is a pretty good artichoke color, and you get tiny little lines from the marbling. I find it looks a little bit more realistic if you start from the insides of each petal and create tiny little lines, not all over, but enough to create that bit of a stripy look. And I would do that on these leaves as well, the bottom leaves. It works for me best shaping these on the table. So what I mean is I have it down on my work surface, and very gently I rotate it from the stem and pull up from the inside recesses to create those stripes. And I do that all the way around, and that creates a nice surface. You want to be a little bit, you want to take time to do it a little bit more and have the line soften towards the tips of the petals. And the light is kind of funny, it makes it look more pale, almost a minty lime green. In person it's a slightly different color. It has a lot more of the Spanish colors, the Spanish olive color there. Now for the stem I also like to create some stripes. I also like to make sure that I create a differentiation between the bottom petals. And I do that by carving with my safety pin. So let me show you how I did the other painting. And I did this with my my clay wet, just like you see it right now. Now from there I took some purple pastel and shaved it. I'll show you that real quick. So here's some purple. And I would actually prefer a tiny bit of red in it too, not a lot though, just a little bit. And I dip a paintbrush in a tiny bit of water. And I would very carefully, at the base of the leaves, where they come in, bring up a little bit of color. Not a whole heck of a lot, but a little bit. And since it's water and the pastel, you can dilute it. If it's too strong, you could come back and fix it. Let's see that? I thought that's kind of nice. And you can do that just on the inside and let it remain green towards the outside. I wish I had a little bit of lighting that was better in here, because it looks so much better in person than it is looking on the film right now. So there we're coloring just basically the very inside of the petal and letting it remain green on the outside. So see? And then at the very base you can add some too. And you want it just kind of subtle. So this is green with purple. I think I would prefer it a little bit of a paler green if you want to hand paint a lot of different colors on it. And actually cooked, this color combination of green is really good. So there we go, and it would be ready to bake. I actually do one other thing. I go ahead and I take the stem and I chop it. And then to texture the stem, and you definitely don't have to get this detailed on it, but to texture the stem I rough up the bottom with my safety pin. Try to make it look a little fibrous in there. So there we go, you can rough it up. And there is a fun little artichoke. You can create more layers if you like, just by adding more rows of petals. But thank you for joining me. So I'll go ahead and I'll make just a plain green one so you can see that out of the marbling with this, so you can see the picture side by side to see if you want an artichoke with a little bit of the purple, or if you want to have it just green. Thank you so much for joining me.